It's not just what changed, it's why. 3i Atlas is being framed as either a rock or an alien probe, and that choice isn't neutral. It's strategy. Let's explore how uncertainty can become leverage. What evidence do we have? What truly counts as technology when it reappears from the sun's shadow? We'll break down the headlines, the science, and the hype, and find the line between spectacle and signal. 3i Atlas isn't just another space rock. It's the third interstellar object ever found, meaning it came from far beyond our solar system. Scientists say it's huge, possibly as big as Manhattan, and right now it's hidden behind the sun, completely out of view. That means we're stuck waiting, relying on old data and computer models until it drifts back into sight. When Professor Avi Loeb spoke about 3i Atlas, he called this moment its acid test, the point where we'll finally learn what it really is. If the object changes course in strange, deliberate ways, or releases smaller pieces that move with purpose, that could mean advanced technology, maybe even something artificial. But if it's natural, we might see it break apart or form a bright comet tail as it heats up near the sun. Either result will teach us something, but only one would truly earn the title of alien probe. Loeb says we'll have answers in weeks, not years. That ticking clock is all the media needs to turn science into a countdown to discovery. This is where narrative economy takes over. A long, data-scarce interval is condensed into a simple binary, probe or rock. That's a great example of cinematic shorthand. It presents a clear antagonist or twist, simplifying complex orbital mechanics into a coin flip. But the real question is, why? Because attention gravitates to high-stakes possibilities. Probe is the shortest route to urgency. The scientific process takes time and requires solid proof. It needs signals that can be repeated, clear images, and measured accelerations that aren't caused by gravity. The media timeline is faster. Headlines need clarity today, not caveats tomorrow. Lack of current observations leads to speculation. This speculation fills programming blocks, feeds, and clicks. This shift wasn't accidental. It serves a clear narrative purpose. There's a cost to that. Focusing too much on sensational stories can confuse the public. It may lead researchers to chase flashy questions. This also leads to disappointment when simple explanations are given. It's not conspiracy, it's audience psychology. As with any breaking scientific story, incentives align around tension, not patience. A quick micro story. A student once asked me, if we can't see it, why is every outlet acting like something decisive already happened? That's the click. The media stakes don't require data to escalate. They require a narrative clock. Behind the sun functions like the offstage act in theater. You can't see it, therefore anything might be happening. Powerful, but not evidence. Once you see that structure, everything else clicks. We can now examine how three real narratives package the same uncertainty with different tones, omissions, and agendas. Take Gulf News, for example. Comet or alien probe. 3i Atlas just flew into our solar system. That headline is doing heavy lifting. It builds drama with a clean binary and implies urgency with just flew. It's like a movie. Two choices, no in between. And notice what's missing. There's no mention that the object is hidden behind the sun, meaning we can't actually see it. That omission matters. Without noting the blind spot, the story can sound factual while quietly feeding speculation. A clever way to make mystery look like momentum. Notice how the story's told. It grabs you fast. Something just arrived. Maybe it's dangerous. Maybe it's alive. It feels urgent, like something big is about to happen. But what's missing is the truth. Scientists can't see much right now. Data takes time, and we won't know anything for weeks. That headline makes you expect a dramatic reveal, one that doesn't exist yet. It's a storytelling trick. News outlets trade real complexity for something simple. Is it aliens or is it a rock? It's easier to sell a mystery than to explain a process. Scientists say a huge alien spaceship is headed toward Earth, according to a viral claim on social media via Al Jazeera. The language shifts from object to spaceship. It shifts from possibility to certainty with the vague phrase, scientists say. Then audience psychology takes over. Certainty sells. Fear and spectacle increase shares. The trick is easy. Swap tentative language for strong statements, then link them to unnamed experts. What's missing? Criteria. What would qualify as technology? Maneuvers that don't match natural forces. Repeatable radio signals linked to the object. Images showing engineered shapes. The claim offers none of that. It offers motion verbs, hurtling, because velocity feels like intent. But speed is dynamics, not design. People.com takes a different tack. Super fast new comet could be evil. Alien technology, Harvard professor argues. We're getting three levers at once: speed, morality, and authority. Super fast provides the excitement. Evil adds an emotional punch. Harvard brings in extra credibility. The structure is entertainment-ready conflict. It frames argument as the story, not evidence as the story, and it quietly conflates motion with motive, as if dynamic anomalies translate to intention. All the complex science and uncertainty boil down to a simple story. A brave professor takes on the establishment. Contrast those with validators. NASA science describes 3I Atlas as the third interstellar object. They use neutral language and focus on observation campaigns. They also stress the uncertainty around it. The European Space Agency's FAQ helps set expectations, clarify limits, and separate hypothesis from detection. Skeptical views, like those in the Economic Times, say that bold claims require solid proof. This shifts the burden of proof while avoiding personal conflicts. These sources prioritize process over punchline. They trade clicks for credibility. So why the drift from sober framing to sensational edges? The constraints of the medium. Binary beats drive engagement. Audiences prefer agency aliens over randomness rock. And there's a visual flair deficit. No definitive images yet, so language must carry the spectacle. When you can't show a craft, you show conflict. When you can't show a tale, you show tension. It's a calculated move to heighten the drama while we wait. Now let's be fair. Journalists are managing a moving target with delayed data, but the choices aren't neutral. Equal treatment of different ideas can lead to confusion. Authority signifiers like Harvard and scientists can hide weak evidence. Fearful adjectives draw attention and slip in assumptions. This is where media literacy matters. Ask, what's the claim? What's the evidence? What's the timeline? What's the omission? Keep this framework as we parse incentives. Who benefits from each frame? News outlets harvest engagement. Personal brands grow through audacious takes. Scientific campaigns gain visibility, sometimes funding. None of this requires bad faith. It's the gravity well of audience psychology. When coverage goes from could to is, it leads people to expect quick miracles. They stop looking for careful confirmation. And when the reveal doesn't arrive, trust erodes. The game changer nobody talks about is how uncertainty functions like a budget. If there are no new images, you budget drama. If there are no maneuvers, you budget hypotheticals. And if there's no radio signal yet, you budget watchfulness. The trick is to separate the budgeting from the evidence. NASA and ESA model that restraint. Sensational headlines invert it. This shift wasn't accidental. It serves a clear narrative purpose. Which brings us to the real pivot. What would actually move the needle? Let's define the thresholds. First, make moves that don't match natural forces. That means steady changes in direction that can't be explained by gravity, sunlight, or gas pushing off the surface. Not just a random wobble, but a clear pattern seen by different observers. If you remember nothing else, remember this. Motion beyond physics is the strongest early tell. Second, there are detectable radio transmissions linked to the object. These signals can be repeated and are localized. They also show unusual patterns that follow its position. That means not a transient like the old WOW event without follow-up, but sustained detections across observers with clear timestamps and directional consistency. The standard isn't mystery, it's reproducibility. Third, high-resolution images show design shapes. These include edges, symmetry, and structures that resist natural breaking patterns. Not a ragged nucleus breaking into chunks, but shapes and alignments indicative of design. And yes, that requires pixels we don't yet have publicly, which is why release schedules matter. Near-term checkpoints. As the Sun conjunction ends, the period when 3I Atlas was hidden behind the Sun from our view, the geometry finally shifts. The blinding glare fades, and for the first time in weeks, telescopes on Earth can look its way again. Now both optical and radio windows reopen. SETI and radio observatories can keep listening. Localization gets better after conjunction. NASA's imaging pipelines might have delays. This includes any assets that captured close approaches before they are released to the public. That lag is normal, yet it collides with public impatience. Watching the calendar is part of the literacy here. Natural outcomes can cause fragmentation, tail formation, brightness changes from heat stress at perihelion. Those are not disappointments, they're data. The reason this works as media is also the reason it can mislead. Binary drama outruns multivariate physics. Our job is to map outcomes to explanations, not to villains and heroes. If the object is artificial, it would change how we see ourselves. But if it's natural, we still advance knowledge about the backyards of other stars, composition, structure, and the diversity of interstellar debris. Either way, the result is a win for understanding. The difference is psychological, not scientific. Now incentives without accusations. Public excitement correlates with probe coverage. Attention brings resources. High-profile objects get more telescope time and grants. Committees see visibility as a sign of impact. That's media economics, not conspiracy. Loeb's ideas for large sky surveys, even billion-dollar ones, show how bold stories can spark funding discussions. The story creates urgency, while the proposal provides a tool. Let's talk visual proof points to track. Orbital plane alignment with the ecliptic creates an interesting diagram. But does this alignment show intent or just selection bias? We tend to notice objects in our plane more easily. A timeline graphic shows why we can't see it now and when we will. This helps you understand and avoid exaggerated claims during the process. And a radio listening window chart reframes SETI monitoring as a falsifiable test, not clickbait. If signals don't recur, the claim dissolves. Before we continue, you need to understand how release cadence shapes narratives. If a Mars orbiter captured imagery, internal review and calibration precede any public drop. That delay becomes a canvas for rumor. Don't fill it with certainty. Fill it with questions tied to thresholds. Did the orbit change in a sustained way? Are there independent signal detections? Do images reveal engineered geometry? Here's the shortcut nobody teaches. Write your own decision rubric. If you see headlines, run them through the 3 tests: maneuvers, signals, geometry. If none are present, it's not evidence. It's anticipation. And anticipation can be fun, so long as we don't confuse it with confirmation. The moment of truth isn't one day. It's a sequence. Conjunction ends. Observations resume. Analyses roll out. Claims get cross-checked. And boom. Either we have anomalies that survive scrutiny, or we have a natural object that enriches our catalog. Either outcome is coherent. What changes is how the story gets told. Does understanding the why change how you read the next headline? That's the point. Uncertainty creates a tempting binary. However, maneuvers, repeatable radio signals, or engineered geometry, not headlines, should guide 3I Atlas. For the next phase, watch the post-conjunction observations. If you want more media forensics on space coverage, subscribe and tell us how this framework changes your read.